Hey, this video continues the countdown with number 5. If you missed numbers 10 through 6, you can go back and watch them by clicking on the link. My sister and I spent 3 weeks driving the Carretera Austral in Northern Patagonia in November 2022. We backpacked, hiked, explored, and cooked most of our own food. But we still ate a few hot dogs and drank a few beers like normal tourists. We drove over 1,600 miles in our rental car, which was an adventure in and of itself. You have to watch out for livestock. Most roads aren't paved, they don't always have guardrails, and sometimes the roads are barely large enough for cars to pass by. Obviously, we saw a lot, but here's the rest of our top 10 of Northern Patagonia. Number 5 is the abundant rivers and lakes, and I'm cheating here a little because some of these pictures are technically the Pacific Ocean. But with so much water everywhere, it gets a little difficult to tell it all apart. Some travel guides claim that most of the water in Chile does not require filtration before drinking. Now, we still filtered all of our water all of the time, but the water is very clean. It feels like you can barely travel a few miles before encountering a lake, a river, or an ocean inlet. In particular, the Lago General Carrera was just beside us for much of the trip. This lake is the second largest in South America, and Chile shares its coastline with Argentina. Like most of the other bodies of water, it is a brilliant blue that changes color with the skies. Virtually all of the rivers and lakes are picturesque, but still cold since it was still early spring. We didn't do much swimming. Number 4 is the Capillas de Marmol boat tour. We rode with Sir Nomad from the dock in Puerto Rio Tranquillo to visit the Capilla de Marmol, or marble chapels or caves. The caves are unique limestone formations sculpted by the wind and the Lake General Carrera. The 3-hour boat trip starts with a ride across the lake to Puerto Sanchez and a tour of the less crowded caves. It is possible to enter some of the caves and view the rock up close. It was a windy and cold day, but we had some sun breaks to illuminate the turquoise water. We ended the trip with a loop around the most Instagrammable formation on the coast. Number 3 is Sector Genimeni in Parque Nacional Patagonia. Patagonia National Park is comprised of 3 sectors, formed in 2018 from 2 protected reserves and a private park. The northernmost sector is Genimeni, and access from the town of Chilichico. The first hiking circuit looked like Utah transported to Patagonian steppe. Although there was sun above us, snow was blowing in from the next valley, making for a very strange weather experience. The circuit ends with a view of the Valle Lunar, which truly looks like we landed on the moon. Making our way further south into virgin forests surrounding electric blue lakes, Lago Verde and Lago Genimeni. We found the Chileans' almost refusal to use switchbacks amusing.
26% grade is a higher grade than my roof. It's 11.
It is a little out of the way, but this sector of the park is well worth visiting. Number 2 is Sector Valle Chacabuco in Parque Nacional Patagonia. Turning east off the Carretera Austral onto X83, and it feels like you are entering a completely different country. Blue-green waters are replaced by rolling green plains, and the livestock are replaced by guanaco in this middle section of Patagonia National Park. We unfortunately didn't get to see any rhea, which live in this area, but we did get to see a lot of guanaco. They're like llamas. The guanaco roam freely and generally tolerate your presence on roads and trails. Lagunas Altas was one of our favorite hikes, just over 20 kilometers long and filled with lakes and views. We climbed higher along the Sendero Los Condores to look over into Sector Tamango to the south. All in all, excellent hiking in this sector. Number 1 is Parque Nacional Cerro Castillo. We waited 3 days for the weather to clear sufficiently so we could venture into this park, and this would be our last destination before heading back to the US. The wait was worth it. We started with an overnight from Las Horquetas trailhead, walking through dandelion-filled pastures and around lots of cows. We didn't have time to do the full trek as a one-way journey, so after one night we backtracked and then entered the park from near town a day later. Our next hike went up to Laguna Duff on the backside of Cerro Castillo. Don't come all the way out here and skip Laguna Duff. Once you make it through the never-ending boulder field, it is equally beautiful to Laguna Cerro Castillo. After spending the night in Campamento Potadores, the next morning we climbed up to Laguna Cerro Castillo. It was a steep hike. Definitely going up was the more difficult direction, but we didn't mind stopping for pictures. Castillo means castle, which is sort of what the mountain looks like. We had perfect weather, a beautiful day of hiking, and practically had the park to ourselves. We only saw 2 other people out that day. This was the perfect end to our amazing adventure in Chile.